This is the first in a series of videos of films that I have dubbed to be the greatest films of all time. Now, are these films perfect? No, not at all. Are they filled with tons of mistakes? Yeah, of course. But to anyone who truly loves the medium of film, in my opinion, needs to see the films on this list. Now, this film is just simply fantastic. It has everything you could ask for in a film, and I could explain all that it has to offer, but there's one character in this movie who has the best and most perfect description for what this experience is.
Any sports in it?
Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles.
Doesn't sound too bad. I'll try and stay awake.
As a kid, this film had me hooked. Alright, hooked in every way that a person can be hooked. And now, being an adult, I was completely baffled to find out that most people had never seen this movie. Which is what brings us here today. I am going to try my best to shed light on the 1987 classic that is The Princess Bride. This is a relatively simple film to follow. Right, we have a very enthusiastic grandpa who reads a book to his disinterested grandson when he's having a sick day off from school. The book in question, you ask? Yes, it is in fact The Princess Bride, which is the story of farm boy Wesley, who with the help of friends along the way, is tasked with rescuing his true love, Princess Buttercup, from the slimy clutches of the live-action Lord Farquaad, also known as Prince Humperdinck. Simple plot, right? Cool. Moving on. Towards the beginning of the story, Wesley has been presumed to have been killed by the treacherous dead pirate Roberts. And later on in the story, after Buttercup has been kidnapped, she is rescued and then taken hostage by the Man in Black, who is thought to be the Dread Pirate Roberts, the man who killed Buttercup's lover. Let's take another quick jump back to the beginning, where Wesley is working as Buttercup's farm boy, and it is here where we get to see the beginning of their beautiful relationship. Buttercup would naturally give Wesley orders, and he would never ever complain. His only response would always be, "As you wish." And it was not long before Buttercup realized that whenever Wesley said "as you wish," what he meant to say was, "I love you." Fast forward back to the present day, where Princess Buttercup and the Man in Black are arguing, the man accusing Buttercup of being unfaithful to her former lover Wesley, and Buttercup is there defending herself. And when the fight reaches its crescendo, in a moment of pure rage, Buttercup straight up yeets the Man in Black down the hill, and as he tumbles, he utters this iconic line.
As you wish.
The two lovers are reunited and unsuccessfully attempt to run away from Lord Farquaad. Prince Humperdinck. Now you cannot sit there and tell me that this reveal is not freaking amazing and goddamn iconic. Speaking of iconic, let's talk about one of my favorite fight scenes in all of cinema. When the Man in Black, also known as Wesley, is chasing after Buttercup, her captor, Vicini, leaves behind Fezzik and Indigo at two different locations to take out the Man in Black, should he catch up to them. The first line of defense was another important character in the story, and a personal favorite of mine, Indigo. Before the swashbuckling begins, Indigo and the Man in Black engage in a gentlemanly civil conversation, which we will dive into a little bit later, but for now, they fight. The reason this scene has ascended to one of my favorite fight scenes in all of cinema is because this is no ordinary fight, but a battle of wits through the art of swordplay. Because while they are fighting with swords, this scene is a game of chess. Both fighters who are very skilled are trying to test each other's skill level and techniques. It's a dance between two masters of the craft of swashbuckling, passion oozing out of them as they fight. They find joy in going against each other because neither has faced such a proficient adversary. So they find it energizing to be tested and to test their opponent. One of the reasons I love this scene is because it displays this well-choreographed sportsmanlike quality in the art of fighting. I've seen a lot of action movies, and mostly it's just a bunch of dudes throwing fists or shooting at one another, which is fine. But in this movie, they use fighting as a form of communication between the two fighters. The chemistry between them and the choices they make show us the personality of the characters through the way they fight. For example, in the beginning of the fight, Indigo starts off maybe a little bit too cocky, and as he realizes that his opponent is a very gifted fighter, he begins to take it more seriously. Whereas Wesley maintains a steady level of calm and collectedness throughout the fight, and because of that, Indigo becomes frustrated that his opponent keeps besting him, and as a result, he gets sloppy, allowing Wesley to emerge victorious. Seeing fight scenes be used as a language is so rare these days, which helps me to appreciate the sheer beauty of this scene. And when Indigo is bested by Wesley, he doesn't whine about it. He accepts his defeat, and that he was beaten by a better swordsman, and greets his death honorably. But thankfully, throughout the fight, Wesley has admired Indigo's artistry far too much and instead knocks him out. Growing up, this fight scene taught me so much of what it means to lose humbly and to maintain a certain level of class and honor in the face of victory. As a man who played sports his whole life, watching the ethics and professionalism of fighting play out like it did in this movie at such a young age was really influential for me when it came to understanding what it means to play games honestly and fairly. While we're on this topic, let's talk about revenge, justice, and swashbuckling, which come at the very climax of this movie. Before Indigo and Wesley fight, he sits him down and tells him the story of the six-fingered man, the man who murdered his father in cold blood when he was a boy and left him with the scars to remember it. Indigo tells Wesley that he has spent his whole life training and searching for the six-fingered man so that he can avenge his father and find peace. He tells Wesley exactly what he plans to say to the six-fingered man, and it's the most iconic line in this film.
Inconceivable!
No, not that line. This one.
I will go up to the six-fingered man and say, "Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
Now fast forward to the end of the movie when Indigo comes face to face with his father's murderer, the six-fingered man. He gets stabbed repeatedly. And when I watched this as a kid for the first time, I was completely shocked. The man that I was rooting for, the hero, he had lost and was probably going to die. How could this film stand to present its audience with such an injustice? And just when all hope is lost, Indigo uses what little strength he has and rises to his feet. With a twinkle in his eye, he says to the six-fingered man the one thing he has purposed his whole life to say.
My name is Inigo Montoya. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
And after a long, painful, heartfelt quest, he finally fulfills his purpose and avenges his father. I love this man's arc in the story because it depicts something we all go through in life. Maybe not the killing part, but the rest of it. Indigo has a purpose, a goal, but as we see when he chats with Wesley, he begins to feel like he's never going to achieve it, slowly losing motivation until he quits and gives up. It's happened to all of us. We've all had the urge to quit something because it's proved to be a bigger obstacle than we had anticipated. I love this character and his story because after hitting rock bottom and quitting, he finds a reason to keep going. He gets back up and with the help of his friends, he finds the six-fingered man, gets stabbed continuously, but doesn't let anything stop him fulfilling his purpose. And I'm sure that you could imagine that taught me so much as a kid.
Offer me everything I ask for.
Anything you want.
I want my father back, you son of a bitch.
One of the things I really love about this story, that I've only learned to appreciate as an adult, is that in the beginning of the film, the grandson is actually really annoyed when he hears that his grandfather is coming over to read to him. He doesn't particularly enjoy spending time with him. But as the story progresses and the grandson becomes drawn in by the tale that his grandfather is telling him, he begins to realize that his grandpa isn't so bad after all, and that he actually enjoys his company. In fact, there's a point in the story where the grandpa decides to just stop reading, but the grandson pleads with him to continue. Obviously because he's entrenched with the story, but I also think that he's starting to appreciate his grandfather's company. What really drives home my theory comes right at the end when the grandpa is leaving after having finished reading the book to his grandson. The grandson looks to his grandfather and asks him to come back tomorrow so that he can read to him again. The reason that this resonates with me so much is because I've seen this happen time and time again. As people, we naturally have preconceptions about other people based on the minimal information we have about them. But when we take the time to really understand and engage with these people, they often prove to be so much deeper than our initial biases. This is such a profound and important message, and one that I think I understood as a kid, but only ever truly appreciated as an adult. And that, to me, is extremely powerful. Now, before we conclude, here is a quick montage of the most iconic moments in this film.
Who are you?
No one of consequence.
I must know.
Get used to disappointment.
Okay?
He didn't fall? Inconceivable!
I told you I would always come for you. Why didn't you wait for me?
Well, you were dead.
Death cannot stop true love. All it can do is delay it for a while.
I will never doubt again.
There will never be a need. Drop your sword.
Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line!
Offer me everything I ask for.
Anything you want.
I want my father back, you son of a bitch. I will go up to the six-fingered man and say, hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something.
As you wish.
Oh, my sweet Wesley. What have I done? Ow! Oh!
Farm boy, polish my horse's saddle. I want to see my face shining in it by morning.
As you wish.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
There's a shortage of perfect breasts in this world. 'Twould be a pity to damage yours.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
But first things first. To the death.
No! To the pain.
I don't think I'm quite familiar with that phrase.
I'll explain, and I'll use small words so that you'll be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
That may be the first time in my life a man has dared insult me.
It won't be the last. To the pain means the first thing you lose will be your feet below the ankles. Then your hands at the wrists. Next, your nose.
And then my tongue, I suppose. I killed you too quickly the last time. A mistake I don't mean to duplicate tonight.
I wasn't finished. The next thing you lose will be your left eye, followed by your right.
And then my ears, I understand. Let's get on with it.
Wrong! Your ears you keep, and I'll tell you why. So that every shriek of every child at seeing your hideousness will be yours to cherish. Every babe that weeps at your approach, every woman who cries out, "Dear God, what is that thing?" will echo in your perfect ears. That is what the pain means. It means I leave you in anguish, wallowing in freakish misery forever.
Since the invention of the kiss, there have been 5 kisses that were rated the most passionate, the most pure. This one left them all behind.
The Princess Bride is a beautiful movie. From the direction to the acting, the music, the script, this film is just a bundle of joy. I see no way that you can watch this movie and not feel joyous afterwards. This film knew exactly what it wanted to be and achieved that effortlessly. This is a fantastic, satisfying, feel-good movie, and God, I wish more people had seen it.
The end. Now, I think you ought to go to sleep. Okay. 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 All right. So long.
Grandpa? Maybe you could come over and read it again to me tomorrow.
As you wish.